Okay, well, let's get started. I'd like to introduce Markus Stuckenberger. He is the head of training international at Schletter GmbH. And we're going to talk today about some of Schletter's flush mount solutions that are out there, specifically for commercial installs. I think there's a fair bit. Marco is super knowledgeable with all the Schletter products, so this should be quite interesting. And one of the things that really impresses us about Schletter is the wide variety of attachment methods they can use and work with, and there's some really good products out there. Partially also because their rail is a bottom mount rail as opposed to a side mount rail, which we see in North America a fair bit. So some things will work that other products will not work with. So yeah, I'll pass it over to Marco. Marco, take it from here.
Great, thank you, sir. Yeah, hello and welcome. I just will open quick the presentation and share my screen, and then we can start.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, if anyone has any questions, just there's a chat function, you can ask it in there, or when there's a quiet time, also feel free to ask questions via voice, whatever works for you. At the end of the presentation, we'll have some more time for some additional questions that you may have.
So I'll stop my video regards to my bad lining.
Sure.
At home. So. It's better than this. So yeah, today, flush mount, trapezoidal, corrugated sheeting, some bitumen things, and standing seam roofs. That's the topic from today. At first, I'd like to talk a little bit about our quality. So we are working according to ISO. So we have got the ISO certification. We just use aluminum, steel, and stainless steel. The stainless steel is the number 1.4301. Aluminum, we use the ones which also is used at the maritime areas. Some boat manufacturers use it as well. So you can work direct at a maritime area with our aluminum. We provide 25 years warranty on our systems. Yeah, for Germany, we have a TÜV certification and a general technical approval. So this is really more for the German market. ITER, the European market, and now the UL certifications. Your states, Northern America in this case, and the ETN is a special certification for the French market. And we work together with a guy named Dr. Cedric Zapfe. He is our head of engineering, and he is doing a lot of tests with our system. So at first he develops the systems. He is doing a lot of investigation in new systems, and then they need to be tested. So we do some bending tests, pulling tests, pushing tests, and also some twisting tests. And with all this information, we can provide a proper structural design for your house or for your building, for the ground mounts, for everything. And also we have a certified welding engineer. He will double check on roof hooks if the welding is fine, if everything is okay. So that's what we do here in Europe, mostly done in Germany, and wind tunnel tests are also done at the United States with another colleague, Professor Dr. Rushewai. And also the wind tunnel test is interesting for you when you have a low inclined roof, so up to 10 degrees. Then at this degree or lower, you can use our wind tunnel calculation, and this will save a lot of costs, because with the wind tunnel tests and a lower degree of 10 degrees, you can save some fasteners because the wind at 10 degrees is not as much high, and it is more worse when you have a 30-degree roof pitch, but on a 10 degree, really you can save a lot. Just ask Frankensolar for the calculation with the wind tunnel result, and then you can see how the figures will go down on a wind tunnel test. So yeah, as I said, you don't have any warranty risks because you are buying at a real good wholesale partner, a real good partner with Frankensolar. And you have got the 25 years guarantee on all our systems. And then we will start with the flush mount systems. At first, the rails. So we have 3 different rails. The Ecolight is 30 by 30. This one was developed from our colleagues in Asia because they have very low snow loads and they use it very often. And we use it on a special mounting system for trapezoidal roofs. It is named the single Fixrl mounting kit. We will talk about later again. The Eco Rail is also a very good rail, stable rail, but a small one will not bring so much additional weight on top of the roof. Yeah, and the star from our rails is the Solar Rail. You can use it everywhere with low wind load, a lot of wind load, low snow load, much snow load. It doesn't matter. The Solar can handle it. So the Solar is really more really the standard classic rail you can use for every mounting system.
Yeah, and in Canada, it's almost exclusively solar rail that we see. We do have quite high wind loads and snow loads here in Canada, so I don't think we have sold any Eco 05 or Ecolight in a very long time. So it's mainly all solo what we're seeing.
And Solo will come in so will be delivered in a bundle of 150 pieces on each bundle.
Correct.
Very easy for the transport, very easy to stack. And different lengths are possible. A standard length is mostly a 4.40 m rail or a 6.30 m rail.
Yep.
4.40 m is more comfortable for the transport and as well more cost effective for the transport.
Correct. Yeah, we do almost, well, we actually are exclusively 4.40 m rail. I believe there is a new rail coming out next year, probably in Canada, and that one we may see a shorter rail of 2-meter rail to reduce shipping damages and for residential specifically, not for commercial. But we will see some shorter rails as well in the new year.
Great. Really great news with the new rails.
Yep.
So then we have some clamps. I guess also here next year we will provide some new clamps also for the new rails. At the moment we have the clamps available from 30 to 40 millimeter and 40 to 50 millimeter frame height. So in total 2 end clamps, 2 middle clamps, and the same counts for black anodized clamps for the black framed panels. All clamps will come with an earthing pin, so for the grounding from the panels. Also is available a long version. So the normal clamp is 50 millimeter long and the long version is 100 millimeter long. The long version is normally just needed on very high snow loads and additional on a ground mount system if you do a combined clamping, and that means you have got 2 panels on top. The first rail is at the quarter point from the panel. The middle rail is at the short side from the panel, and both panels will be fitted on. That means you have to clamp it at the short side. And the third rail is again at the quarter point, but at the lower panel. And this is named combined clamping, but it depends on the panel manufacturer and the pressure, if you can use the short clamp or if you need to use the long clamp. But this really will be done after the calculation when we have all the forces. Then you will ask your panel manufacturer if it is possible. So Frankensolar will ask, and then they tell you you can use the short or you have to use the long clamp. But to be honest, in most cases, it is regards the snow load on a rooftop system, because the snow load will bring also a downslope force in, and sometimes the small clamps are too weak, they are overloaded, and then you would need the long version.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had that situation here. I think it's always been short clamps with the one exception. I think we did a project in the Bahamas where there was really, really high wind loads. It was at a resort, and I think we needed the long clamps there, but that's the only one that comes to mind.
Okay. Now I know it from my region here with the Alps at the Zugspitze.
Yep.
Or at Bad Tölz.
Yep.
And here we talk about 4 to 6 kilonewton of snow, and then
Yep.
you definitely need the long clamp for it.
Of course, in the mountains, different. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and here we have the new clamps beginning in 2023, not this year. So it is a complete new line. We name it Proline. They also have got the integrated earthing pin, but we have shortened a little bit the range from the clamp, because at the moment no one is producing a panel height or frame height from 48, 49 or 50 millimeter. Also the 47, 46, normally they are no longer on the markets now. But with this adjustment, we could work with just, or we can work with just one screw length, and it works from 30 to 47 millimeter. And that means you just have one end clamp, one middle clamp, and the same for black anodized. So we save in total 4 clamps with black anodized. And this will make it much easier for the wholesaler regards stocking. It will make it much more easy for you, because you just have to order one clamp. You can't bring the wrong ones to site. And we have done another angle at the claw. And the claw is no longer, so this is a cut we have done, and the cut was right angled, and now it is no longer right angled. And regards this different cutting, the pull out force is now higher. So the clamp is now stronger. But still, we have to do a lot of tests on it. We have to do the wind tunnel tests. We have to do the normal tests, the pull out tests. Then we have to bring it into our calculation tools. We have to do it, bring it into our structural design tool. And that's the reason why they are available at first next year. So a good development always takes a little bit of time. Also with the new Proline rails, the Pro 35, Pro 50, and Pro 70. And I guess for you guys, it is the Pro 50.
I think so, yeah. That would be the replacement of the Solo 05, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I think we already showcased it at the Electricity Transformation Canada last December in Toronto. It's a really cool product that we will have as of I guess at this point 2023 in our shelves, and it will replace the traditional solar rail that we will be using this year and have been using for the last 10 years.
Yeah, solar rail was really long in place.
Yeah.
But just go back. You see here in the middle some material, and this one is now gone because we don't need it any longer. We have decided to make the rail a little bit smaller but higher, and this will also add additional strength to the rail. So we can do the same span as with the solar rail, and in some cases more. But here also it depends on the design, wind and snow load. But sometimes the span is a little bit more as on our classic solar rail. The Pro 70 rail, 70 millimeters high. Yeah, it's really more for commercial roofs with a bigger span between the purlins. Are not very often needed, but it is definitely a rail on other places in the world where they need it. Then we have a new connector. Yeah, I know the con is really a bad wording in this case, because con means the opposite of pro. But in this case, it should be rapid connector. So not a bad word, it's just a connector. It is named a bajonet connector, I guess. We have market quick. This part is also at the bottom. And then it's very easy to do a double layer system if needed. And the same we use for our flat roof system for the fixed grid. But at first here, so if you like to do a double layer system, or if you need to do a double layer system, then the lower part goes in here. The top part goes in here. So you do a cross rail system, and you go in here with a screwdriver into this hole, you turn it by 90 degrees and it is fastened. So that's a very quick and easy installation. It saves costs, so mounting time, and also it saves costs from the material. Because the other connector is this part, or is this piece, needs more material, you have an additional screw. So the best way is, when it is available, to move from the cross connector to the new small one. Very easy to install. So I will delete.
And a lot of these changes are happening, obviously, to reduce cost, because there's a continuous drive always to make things more economical. And with aluminum prices going the way they have been, I think it's one of the things that really differentiates Schletter from many of its competitors in North America, because there's so much money being invested in R&D, because I think it's, what is it, 40 gigawatt now that Schletter has installed, or Schletter has delivered, worth of racking.
Should be 43 or 44 at the moment.
Yeah, so 43 or 44 gigawatt globally. So a very large company with a really large R&D team that can invest money into some of these developments, and reducing costs and reducing the amount of equipment that is needed, which gives us a competitive edge over other racking manufacturers.
Yeah, we always try to reduce the small bits and pieces, because reducing bits and pieces also means reducing weight.
Yeah.
And reducing size, and less size, less weight means you can fill up the container with much more important material, and you have got cheaper transport costs. We have cheaper manufacturing costs, and we can give this to all our clients. So that's much better. Good. And asphalt shingles. So here we have the Fixrl. The Fixrl is a fastener with a piece of rail channel on top. So here you have got two options. You can fix it direct to the OSB, or direct on top of a purlin or rafter. It will have an additional butyl, it's a hard word, butyl.
Butyl, yeah.
Butyl, yeah, sealing tape underneath. So I will quick mark it for you. So this is this black line here, is the additional seal. And also the screws will come with a sealing ring on top, and then you fix it direct into the substructure or directly to the OSB. The additional sealing is pre-assembled. It is made of aluminum. The screws are made of steel. And if you do the panels landscape or portrait, doesn't matter, because you can choose the distance and you can fix it without a rail. So that's also a very cost-effective system, because you save the rail. Additional, you can add a rail option, so it will be a longer top. And here you can add the microinverter, the optimizer, or you can add the cable management. So this is a real flexible system, and also very cost-effective.
Yeah, and all the ones we carry are actually the long version, with the option to mount the optimizer or microinverter directly onto the rail. The cost difference is quite small, and we figured might as well just standardize around that product. So this is a product that we do carry and do have stock of. One word of caution, depending on where you are in the country. If it is really high wind and snow load areas, specifically thinking of the coastal regions on the East Coast and the West Coast, those will be a little bit tougher to make work with a railless system. But if you're in the, for example, Greater Toronto area, in many parts of Alberta, Saskatchewan, this product is great, and we can definitely work with you on this and help you out doing designs with it.
And the maximum roof tilt is 45 degree. So yeah, just ask and Frankensolar can do the calculation for you.
Absolutely.
I'll delete my bad drawings. Another one is the Ecolight flashing. So that's a special flashing direct also for asphalt shingles. You can use it with hanger bolt. You can attach a fastener to it. On this, it is here in this case the click top fastener, and the click top fastener can be used with the classic rails. So the solar rail is fine for it. And the hanger bolt goes direct into the substructure, additional sealing on top. This part here is the sealing. It is an EPDM rubber. You've got minimal components, very easy to install. Also, if it is without the additional screw, click top can be added direct on top of this one. So yeah, I guess the flashing needs an additional sealing around. So also, yeah, Danny.
Yeah, no, this has been a very popular product for many years in Canada. I think most systems in the country have been using this product. It's so you're supposed to pre-drill, then you put in sealant, then you add the screw. That's a technically correct way of doing it. We do stock this product as well, but it's probably a little bit there is a preferred option now of doing it. I don't know if you have a slide for that or not, but what we use mainly now is a product called RoofTech RT Mini, and it goes straight into the decking and not into there. There you go. There you got it. So you want to take that?
Yeah. So it was the RT Mini. It's not from Schletter.
No, no,
But
RT Mini, but it looks very similar to what you have there on the right. Or
yes,
you even
it
have it there.
really
Yeah,
looks very
yeah,
similar.
correct.
And then here you have got two options to do it. You can use the Schletter ones, the Rapid 2 Plus SML. This can be installed on normal asphalt shingles or also on metal roofs like a trapezoidal roof.
Yeah.
And on a trapezoidal roof, so you have got the trapezoidal crown. This one goes on top, and then you go in with a screw into the substructure, mostly in a steel substructure. You need an additional butyl type. That's definitely needed. And with the RT Mini, this goes also direct onto the asphalt shingle. And here you don't need the additional tail.
Yeah, and what's really nice about this solution is that you don't need to hit any trusses or strapping underneath. It's the decking of the residential home that you'd use to connect to. So in this case, you'd have put in five wood screws, and then use the Schletter SML foot to go on top and connect the connection method, in this case RoofTech, to the Schletter rail system, the solar rail mainly.
Now it's a very easy system, cost effective. You add the rails, panels, clamps, done.
Yeah.
So also very easy for installing, very quick to install, or very fast to install.
Yeah. Very flexible as well on roof in a residential home when you get to it, and a lot of these designs are done on via software, right? And then Google Images, and when you get to the site, it's not always exactly the same measurements as you had, but this gives you a lot more flexibility because you can literally place them wherever you want on the roof.
Yeah, that's right. That's a very good option. Yeah, and then back to the trapezoidal roof with the single fix pro ones. So the first I have talked about was the Ecolight Rail. This is the single fix mounting kit. And here we talk about 450 millimeter long rail. And you just need to fix it at the place where you want to clamp a panel. So if we imagine this one and this one is a panel, then you have one single fix mounting kit here, 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 and here. So middle clamp, and here are the end clamps, and that's it. Underneath your panel, you don't have a rail because the rail is not needed, and you save weight on top of the roof. So just a 450 millimeter rail is needed to clamp the panel, to fix the panel, and that's it.
Yeah. And single fix V is probably, I'm sure it's the best solution for trapezoidal sheet metal roofs.
Yeah.
That is available. And I was mentioning earlier how having a bottom mount rail has some advantages. And I'm not familiar with anyone else that has a bottom mount rail in this market, but because it's a bottom mount rail, you can place these single fix V on the trapezoids, and then you do not need any additional components other than the rail and the clamps, of course, to mount your solar panels, which of course is a huge amount of cost savings that are there. These single fix Vs are very small, very little materials required, and as you probably can see, there's a little little lip at the top where that's where the rail slides into, and super cost effective. You can use it either with a long rail if that's the way you want to do it, or as Marco said, you can use these smaller rails. The what are they called? Eco Plus rails?
Ecolight.
Ecolight rails, which we don't stock right now. The majority of people are going with a full rail system, but if that's the way you want it to go and you had a bigger system, we can definitely order those in for you. There's definitely a lot of cost savings there, especially again with high aluminum prices at the moment.
Yeah.
We're always trying to make projects possible by having lower cost products available or solutions available.
Now we name this part here the mushroom head because it looks like a mushroom and it fits direct into our lower rail channel. Then we have here the EPDM rubber with a lip on, and the lip is between the rail and the trapezoidal crown, so we avoid scratches. And the screw, if it is the one from Ecolight, we can start at 0.4 millimeter metal thickness. And I know in English there's just one word for it. It is the self-tapping screw. But in German we have another word for it. It is, yeah, direct translated, it is a pushing screw. Or in German it is Verdrängung. So we push the metal to the back. So you can imagine you have got a piece of paper in your hand and a pen, and you smash the pen through the paper. Then you don't have any cutting scrap on your table because the paper, this piece of paper is just pushed to the back.
Yeah.
And these screws, they will push the metal to the back. You form a small tunnel on it. So we talk about 0.2 or 3 millimeter. But this 0.2 or 3 or 4 millimeter got added to the metal thickness. And then you have got more threads in the metal from your screw, and this will make it a very strong connection. So one screw, according to the certification of the Ecolight screw, can take 250 kilogram on pull-out force. So that's really a lot, and these screws are really perfect for it. And the best thing is you don't have any cutting scrap on top of the roof. Now, panels can be landscape or portrait, but one very important thing is the minimum ridge height. So this part here is 22 millimeters.
Okay.
So this is very important.
And the thickness of the sheet metal needs to be at least 26 gauge,
Yeah.
which I think most commercial rooftops would be.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we get to some farm properties, it may not be if it was done with cheap sheet metal, but typically 26 is not very thick as it is. So we see a lot of 24 and 22, which is thicker than a 26 gauge in real world applications.
Yeah, and at the same product line is the clamp fit. The clamp fit is a combined single fix with a piece of rail channel, as you know from the RL ones.
Mm-hmm.
And here you don't need any screw, not screw, any rail. If you do your panels landscape, you just need one clamp fit on each clamping point. And here no rail is needed, but it is limited to a pitch from 0 to 10 degrees. Landscape orientation from the panels. So that are the two things. Please keep it in mind. 0 to 10 degree and for landscape orientated panels. But then you have a real quick installation. The EPDM rubber is pre-assembled like the ones from the single fix. And also there's the sealing washer. One from our EPDM rubber and the other one is here from the screw. And also the screw sealing washer is pre-assembled. So you don't need a rail. You just need to fix the clamp fit at the position where you like to clamp your panel, and you have to do landscape panels. That's it. So very easy mounting system.
Yeah, and very easy and very cost effective. Obviously, as you can see, there's very little components here. So we're looking at below 5 cents Canadian per watt, typically is what we see when we quote this. It is probably the least expensive solution in the market for commercial rooftops.
Yeah, I just can speak from the European market. When I do some sample calculations, when we compare the longer rail system with the clamp fit, so here we talk about around about 50% cost saving.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. We got Ty having a quick question about typical spacing for shingle or metal roof mounting in feet. I can quickly answer that. We see a lot of, it depends if it's residential, commercial, and then also where in the country we're located. For a lot of the commercial, we definitely see every 4 feet for connection points. For residential, it really depends. Some places it's every 2 feet, some places it's every 4 feet.
Good, yeah, then a point from our manual that's really, really important sometimes. But have a look at it, because I know a lot of people that say I'm so experienced I don't need to have a look at manuals. It's the same I do with IKEA. So, but and I guess every male person knows it. We don't read manuals.
No.
No, but sometimes very important, in pairs at the same trapezoidal crown, sometimes for the single fix is needed on a very high wind loaded area or on a high snow loaded area. But more on the wind loaded area, then you have to do it pairwise for the first 1 or 2 meters. The middle one, to be honest, I've never seen it installed. Never. More we see one here and one here. I guess this is the 2 feet ones and the 4 feet ones then. And in the middle of the roof, in Europe, we do 1 meter distance, sometimes 1.20 meter distance. Here, it really also depends on the wind load, but 1 meter distance in the most cases for the inner area is really fine. Sandwich elements are the trapezoidal ones with the insulation underneath. And here it really depends on the manufacturer, if it is from the brand from Metigno or Fischer. Then you can use it single-wise like this one, but for all other ones, you need to do it pairwise. In between the top deck and the insulation, there's a glue, and the glue normally can take 250 kilogram pull out. The better one, 650 kilogram, but that's the reason why you should do it pairwise for the full roof. And not allowed is to do it at the same trapezoidal crown side. If there is a moving force in this direction, it gets ripped off. So you always need to do it like a bracket. You open a bracket and you close a bracket. If you forget it at your calculator, there will be written syntax error, and that's the same counts for the roof. And also very important, don't do it at the joints from the trapezoidal according to our pushing screw, and the pushing screw will form this small tunnel. And you have got here more distance, and this will create a leaking point. So in this case, you go to the inside from the trapezoidal and then you fix it here. That's the best way to do it. But yeah, if you have got any questions regards this fastening, at first have a look at the installation manual, and second one, just contact one of the engineers or technicians. That's the easiest way to avoid some errors on the roof. Yeah, and standing seam roofs. So it's a really nice picture. It's the ABC Mall in Beirut, Lebanon. The bad thing is it was just 1.5 kilometers away from the harbor. So this building doesn't exist any longer. It was a real nice building. It was a real nice installation on a calcite roof. It worked very well. And I love it as a reference. So yeah, different standing seams needs different fasteners. So the standard one is the 503 ones made of aluminium. This one can be used on aluminium roofs. It can be used on steel roofs, but it can't be used on copper roofs because aluminum and copper would create a contact corrosion. The seam dimensions you can see here, and the maximum seam dimensions are here. So 12 millimeter is really the maximum, because otherwise it couldn't get the grip, the proper grip you would need. If you do your panels landscape, then sometimes it would work that you don't need a rail, so you can use it direct with an end or a middle clamp. Just one tool is needed to fasten it, and yeah, also a very cost-effective solution. Do you have this special zinc titanium roofs?
Not that I have come across. I don't think we have any zinc ones, but there may be, but yeah, not to my knowledge.
Yeah, the zinc ones would need a different clamping solution.
Of course.
The rest is fine with the 503 ones made of aluminium. Do you have the steel ones also on stock?
Steel, sorry, steel what?
503 made of steel.
No, we do not. We only have the aluminum.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So that's one option for a normal standing seam, as you can see here. So a folded seam, that's the way you can go or that's the way you have to do it with the clamp. That's very easy. A normal folded standing seam.
Yeah, this does not work with all standing seam, as you're probably going to get into there in a bit, but with selected ones it will work, and it is again a very low cost solution, as there is very little material here needed. Also low weight, of course, as well. It needs to be installed in landscape again, right, Marco?
Yes, if you don't want to use a rail,
Yes.
but also you could add as a sample a cross connector on top, and then you can
Okay.
use a rail on it.
Interesting. We've never looked at it that way, but maybe something we should look into. Khaled, if you want to reach out to me about that at one point, let's have a discussion about it, because we typically use your next product. I saw the slide already, which is the solar connections connectors.
Yeah. But this connector can be added to the 503 clamp, and then you can add a rail on top as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the S5 clamp is very long in place. It's not a product from Schletter, but it's a very good product, because you can handle with it a lot of untypical standing seams. And also when we have a look, where's my mouse? Here, at this one. This looks like a trapezoidal roof, but with a standing seam on top. So here we don't have a solution, but with the S5 ones, it works. You can just add it here on the top, and then you go on top with the cross connector and the rail. Also with the L standing seam, we name it in Europe, or not totally folded ones. This works also very well with the S5 clamps. They also have got a big range of different S5 clamps on it, and just add the cross connector on top, add a rail, and then you can go ahead as usual. But it's a real good solution.
I may also want to add here that the solar connections, or S5, it also works with the SML L-foot that Schletter has. If you do want to have a little bit of that flexibility up and down, that is an option. It's a little bit extra cost compared to the Rapfix, but a lot of people do seem to like that flexibility up and down to make the rail a little bit straighter compared, because some of the commercial rooftops are not very straight. So so just note that there is an option if you want to have that flexibility to straighten out the system a little bit more.
Yeah, that's really a very good option on it. So you can level then the roof afterwards very easy.
Correct.
Especially on older roofs, you need the leveling.
Correct. Yeah, we've had some people that didn't like the Rapfix because of that reason, but then of course there is a solution that that gives you that flexibility. That being said, Rapfix is a great product if you have a fairly straight roof that is a little bit newer and doesn't have those valleys that go up and down on the roof, and it's extremely cost competitive.
But then another very important part has normally nothing to do with Schletter, but it has to do with Schletter regards the material we use. Every metal, like copper, steel, aluminium, will have a thermal expansion. Aluminium, yeah, it has got a very big thermal expansion sometimes, but we can work against it. So we just have to limit the rail length. And this is very easy to do. So you have got your layout, and then you have a look on it, and maybe it is 24 meters in total. And it is a steel roof, a steel standing seam roof. And the maximum rail length would be 10 meter. So on 24 panels, it's very easy. 2 times the 4,40 meter solar rail. then you leave a gap from 5 to 10 centimeter. You start again with a solar rail and an end clamp for the panel, and you have got a thermal separation. That's very easy. Or if you like to do a maintenance walkway, then just leave a 30 centimeter gap in between, and then you easily can walk. Also, when you join two rails together, so in this example, we have chosen an external connector because I can add some points for the screws and it's easier to understand. So both rails must be fixed with the connector, and both rails should react as one rail. So 2 times a 4 m 40 rail will react as an 8 m 80 rail. And then it is allowed to add a panel on top. When you have got an insertion or an internal connector and it is just fixed at one side, then maybe on the thermal movement, this rail goes in this direction, this rail goes in this direction, and the panel is loose. If both rails go to the inside, then the panel got bended and can crack. So here it is not allowed to put a panel on top. You can do an open connection. So you stick in the internal connector, fix it at one side with the screws, and leave it open, just stick into the other rail, but then please work with 2 end clamps. That will be fine, and don't put a panel on top. Those thermal separations are very important, as you can see it here. So the explanation for this is very easy. We have had 3 fields or 3 layouts, each with 10 panels. And we have had a gap from 40 centimeters. So that's perfect. But what happened? The installer added a cable tray and connected the cable tray to our rails on both sides. So the thermal separation wasn't longer a thermal separation. So he connected all the rails together again. And then when we talk about thermal movement, we have got a 30-meter long rail system. In the middle, there's the resting point. So in this direction and in this direction is the movement from the middle. And as we can see here, the last fastener is round about here. So there's always a movement on the last fastener. And the last fastener always will bend the standing seam. And one time, as you can see here, the standing seam just rips off. So this is the worst case what could happen. And that is also the reason why you should limit the rail length. If we talk about a wooden substructure, so we have got a hanger bolt into a wooden purlin, and we talk about a single layer system, 20 meter. The same counts for roof hooks. Single layer system, maximum 20 meter rail length. When we do a double layer system, then it's just 10 meter. Because we have a rail working in this direction, we have a rail working in this direction. That's the reason why you should do on a wooden substructure with double layer system or cross rail section just 10 meter. Single layer is 20 meter.
Okay. So that would be 4 rails, so 16 panels or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have a break. And that's the same for all the manufacturers, I would assume, because everyone would use aluminum.
All manufacturers, they use aluminum and or steel. It's the same.
Yeah. And yeah, if you ever get a layout from anyone where you have that many panels in a row and it does not have that break, please make sure to double check with them because there should probably be a thermal expansion break.
Yeah. If it is a normal steel standing seam or a steel trapezoidal sheet, then it is maximum 10 meter because also the steel sheeting will work.
Okay.
So 10 meter. On flat roofs, sometimes we can install longer rails. So when we talk about a fixed grid, then in the most cases, we say 10 by 10 meter blocks. So 10 by 10 meter block. Or we say 12 by 8 meter. But that's the maximum.
Okay.
And when we talk about the Arabian countries, they have very good, mostly very good concrete flat roofs. And also they use very often 30-degree installations with A-frames. So when you have one row with the installation, and this is 30 meters, it doesn't matter because the rail can react in this and in this direction, nothing will happen. But if you have a combined system, then we are back on 10 meters.
Okay.
So that's really very important. Very important, yeah. On the 1st of April, I have had 15 years with Schletter, and in this time, I have collected roundabout 7 terabyte on pictures with wrong installations. So please don't add more to my collection. I'm running out of space really now. So yeah, please have a look. And if you are unsure, even during your installation, everybody, I guess, has got a mobile phone. Just type the number in from Frankensolar, call them, and they will help you. Definitely also on site. When you are stuck with the installation, just give them a call and ask what is the next step, or is it okay, or is it fine? Do I need a thermal separation? Just ask. That's much cheaper as to work after the damage.
Yeah, replace a roof like in this situation where you ripped or the customer ripped the standing seam roof apart and now you need a new roof.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really, really important. Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco. That was amazing. Anyone have any questions? I know this obviously addressed a lot of the things we've already had, so I'm not sure there will be too much, but yeah, so if anyone has any questions, now would be the time. Otherwise, feel free to reach out after the fact and send us an email or something like that, and we'd be happy to answer that as well.
And Khaled has my presentation, so he just needs to turn it into a PDF, and then you can share it with the people that have
Perfect.
attended this webinar. That's fine for me.
Yeah, and we've also recorded it, so so we will have the recording of it as well to share with people if they would like it. I'm probably going to post it as well on our YouTube channel for people to view after the fact.
Perfect.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Marco, and
Welcome.
we'll do another one soon.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. Thank you everyone for attending.
Thanks, Marco.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.